The Options tab is another place where you can change the settings of your test to customize it for your classroom's needs. The Option tab can be found next to the Test Information tab. And on there are various settings you can adjust. The first setting that you're going to see is scoring method. Most teachers are probably going to choose the without penalty scoring method. This is when your correct answers are rewarded. You're given points for answering questions correctly. You don't get points for answering questions incorrectly, but you don't lose points for answering questions incorrectly. So I think you're usually going to choose without penalty. However, I'll tell you about the with penalty option. The with penalty option will take off points if the if the answer is incorrect or incomplete. So you might use this scoring method if you want to discourage students from guessing and to only answer questions they know the answer to. The next setting is the criteria for completion setting. And if you click that box, you can set a percentage required for obtaining a complete in the progress report. So if you want to set a minimum score on this test, this is where you would do it. You can also choose to display the questions in a random order. And then the next tab the next option you'll see is the question navigation. Here you can decide how students will move through the assessment. So you can choose forward only, which is where they must answer the questions in the order that you put them on the test. You can choose free navigation, which is where they can skip questions and move forward in the test or go backwards in the test. Or you can choose to show all the questions on one page, but that's only recommended if you just have a couple questions on your test. I think that most of the time you're going to choose free navigation. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see even more options for customizing. You can set a number of allowed attempts. So you can choose if you want your students to be able to take this test 1 time, 2 times, or even an unlimited amount of times. And you can also set a time span for the test. The next section is results and feedback. So under show answer to participant, you can decide if you want your student to see when you want them to see their score and whether or not they were correct. And you can decide if you want to show them the correct answers. So you may or may not want to show them the correct answers depending on if other students are still taking the test. The use feedback option allows you to give specific feedback on questions or on certain question alternatives. So I don't normally choose to give feedback, but sometimes I will select on alternatives, and that allows me to give specific feedback on multiple choice questions on the answers that were incorrect to help them understand why the answer they chose was incorrect. But you do have to type in that specific feedback. Under test security, you can password protect your test, which would require students to type in a passcode in order to take the test. And you can also use test mode, which it allows students to take the test and it locks everything else on their computer so that they can't look at other things on their computer while they're in test mode. Test mode works on Chromebooks, but it doesn't work on BCSC's laptops. So you'll just have to keep that in mind. So those are all the options you have on the Test Options tab. I'm going to go ahead and show you this on my It's Learning page. So here I am in Test Information. If I want to adjust the options, I just click the Options tab, and you'll see all of those options that I've given you, or that I've told you about previously. So here under Attempts, you can choose the number of attempts you want to give the student, and you can set time limits. There's really not a lot more that I need to show you right here, but this is what it will look like on your It's Learning page. And then just make sure you press Save to save all your settings after you adjust them.